Hi, I'm CJ, and I'm one of the owners of RepairGuitar.com. We're located down here in Freehold, New Jersey, and today I have Mr. Stephen Collins. Today what we're going to be doing is we're going to be talking about setting up Stratocaster style guitars. There's a lot of issues that occur with Strat style guitars, and there's a lot of problems that a lot of techs don't really address correctly. One of the things we do at RepairGuitar.com through all the techs that we have working for us is we look at these guitars in a very holistic way, and we do all the little things necessary to make these guitars work correctly. Cutting the nut correctly so it doesn't bind, the nut is regulated. Making sure that all the screws on the bridge are set in such a way so that we can use the tremolo system, and that tremolo system will come back in a very positive way so that you can use it, you can enjoy it, it can color that sound on the guitar without the guitar going out of tune. I'm going to turn this over to Steve, and he's going to go through all the different points of a setup on a Strat guitar. All right, Steve?
Yep.
All right.
Like CJ was saying, we have a very nice Fender Strat here with a few issues going on. The action seems a little high to me, and the customer was complaining that it wasn't quite staying in tune, which is a combination of a few things, mostly the nut, and like he was saying, these screws here have to be set properly. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to take the strings off. I'm going to clean up the fretboard, deburr the frets, tighten everything down, put some new strings on, and get it set up and have it play really, really great. Now that we have the strings off, I'm going to go ahead and deburr the frets. They're kind of sharp. It's not very comfortable when you're playing. I'm going to go ahead and do that, and I'm going to polish them up and put some new strings on it. Right now I'm just taking off some of the excess fret material that over time will kind of pull out of the wood a little bit, which can be caused by temperature change and humidity. As the wood shrinks and expands, the frets sometimes pop out a little bit, and it just makes it not very comfortable to play. And, now I'm just gonna buff the frets a little bit with some steel wool. My fret protector, because this is a maple fretboard and I don't want to damage the finish on that. There we go. Now they look like new frets. How about that? Just gonna brush off some of the steel wool here. Alright. Now I'm just gonna tighten everything down a little bit, all the little screws, before I put some new strings on here. And one last thing I want to do before I put the strings on is just make sure the neck is secure in the pocket. Last thing I want is to put the strings on and have the neck pull out of the pocket. So I'm just going to tighten these 4 screws down right here. Doing one here and then doing the one diagonal, much like you'd put a tire on a car. You don't want to do them in a circle. So now that's nice and solid on there. It's not going anywhere. I'm going to put the new strings on. Just take them, put them through the tremolo block here. Some people like to do them one at a time. I just like to put them all through. That way, they're all in there. I don't gotta worry about it. Alright, so this Strat has the vintage style tuners on it with the hole that goes through. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the string, I'm going to pull it tight, and I'm going to take my string cutters and I'm going to cut the string usually around 2 post length, extra, and just a little bit more just to be safe. Cut that off. And I'm going to put it straight down all the way in the hole. Take it and kink it around a little bit, and then just start winding it. And you always usually want to have around 2 to 3 wraps. You don't need 10, but you want to at least have 2. That way it holds the string in place. It's gotta stay in tune. I'm making sure to pull the string tight before I do this, to make sure the ball end is seated in the back of the tremolo. I got all the strings on. I'm just going to go ahead and tune her up real quick. Make sure to stretch the strings out a little bit. They get used to the tension. Alright, now that I have the strings on, I'm going to go ahead and check the relief in the neck. Relief is very important. You want to have a little bit of a bow in the neck. You don't want it to be straight. The strings won't have any breathing room and they'll start rattling around. So now I'm just going to go ahead and check the relief. I got my straight edge, my feeler gauges. Let's see where we're at. You have to make sure you do this under string tension, otherwise it would be invalid. You can see right there I have far too much relief in the neck. The neck's bending more than I want it to, so I'm going to go ahead and tighten the truss rod. I'm just going to counteract the tension of the strings. You just want to do a little turn. You don't want to torque it. See where you're at. Looks like I can go a little bit more. Again, just a little turn. Perfect. Now that we have the neck where we want it, we want to go ahead and adjust the action of the strings so that they're close enough to the fretboard. It's easy to play, but not too close where it's going to start giving us fret buzz. So for that, I'm just going to take my ruler. Yep, we're definitely too high on this one. I'm just going to go ahead and bring all these strings down just a little bit. Go ahead and retune it. Let's see where we're at now. Much better. That's where we want it to be. Nice and close so it's easy to play, but not too close or we're going to get a lot of fret buzz. So the next thing, I want to adjust the 6 screws here. Like I said, the customer was complaining that it wasn't quite staying in tune too well, which is a common problem because a lot of people will just tighten them all the way down. And that's not going to allow it to come back where it should after you use the tremolo. So I'm going to go ahead and adjust these. Back them all off a little bit. Making sure to move the string out of the way so I don't cut it with the screwdriver. Now I'm going to take the 2 outside screws and bring them down as far as they'll go. And then just back off just a hair so they have some breathing room there. Same with this one. And now these other ones I'm going to bring down a little bit, but not as far as the 2 outside. that should allow it to move forward freely, but still have, you know, the ability to come back to where it should after you use it. Yeah, that looks good. The next thing I'm going to check is the nut, which is also a factor in tuning stability. If it's not cut properly, it can grab the string when you use a tremolo or bend or anything like that, and it won't go back to where it should freely. I'm going to go ahead and check these. Check the height of the slots. They look a little bit high, so I can bring them down. I'm going to go ahead and grab my nut files. I have certain files for each string slot because they're all different thicknesses. What I'm going to do, I'm going to file downward to bring them a little bit closer, but also widen the slot a little bit so it doesn't bind. Any nut, friction is the enemy. It's just gonna hold the string in place, and it's never gonna stay in tune. All right, now all the slots are nice and cleaned out. I widened them a little bit. I brought them down so it feels good, and so the strings don't get caught up in there. So it's gonna stay in tune much better now. I'm gonna just go ahead and retune it. The last thing I want to do is check the intonation on the instrument. Intonation is very important because if the guitar isn't intonated properly, it's not going to sound in tune with itself. In other words, as you play different chords up the neck, they're all going to sound out of tune with each other. What I'm going to do is hit the string open. I'm going to make sure it's in tune, and then I'm going to check it at the 12th fret and make sure it's in tune as well. And it's a little bit sharp right there. I'm going to take my screwdriver and adjust the saddle a little bit, just a little bit, and go ahead and check it out. I'm just going to do the same thing with each string. This one's a little bit flat. I'm going to bring it forward. That one's good. Alright, now the guitar is intonated, and like I said, it's going to sound in tune with itself all the way up the fretboard now.
So how did it turn out?
It turned out wonderfully. It sounds much better.
Okay.
I think the customer is going to be very happy.
Outstanding. Remember, one of the most important things on any Strat setup is making sure that the nut is cut correctly, it's regulated, the action is where it's supposed to be, there's no binding. Make sure that the screws down at the bridge are all set at the proper height so we can actually use the bridge effectively and it's not going to bind and it's going to seat correctly. Make sure the springs at the proper adjustment. Make sure your relief is correct, string height, pickup height, all those little things that make a great setup. Don't forget, if you like what you saw here, come to repairguitar.com. That's www.repairguitar.com. We do pretty much any type of guitar repair, right up to complete restoration. We got a lot of great things happening at repairguitar.com. We hope you'll come by. God bless you. Have a great day.
Take care.